tinged gray. It's class.
Oh
Hello.
my
goodness. So many things have been growing.
So many things. Humans.
Whole
Careers.
humans.
Life is happening.
Yeah.
All over the place. You got a quote?
I do. So let me pull it up just really quick.
Let me check it out.
Here you go.
Let me check it out.
It's kind of cute.
Who said that?
Every ending will meet its own end. For every ending is destined to be swallowed up by a beginning.
Kind of a fun one.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. As you know, I'm Priscilla Z, and this is my friend
Coach B. Y'all know what it is.
Absolutely. We are Pie Talk, which is
Talk.
Pursuing Internal Evolution. It's something we do all day, every day, kind of regardless of your consent. But if you decide to, you can put some intentions into it, and you can really have a good time. B and I, for a while now, have been on the pie.
On the pie journey.
And just lately, we've been in our own internal bakeries, doing a lot of
many things.
Field testing of new pies and all sorts of searching for ingredients out there that are different and unique and things we haven't seen. And so here we are, ready to recap and see you all again.
But also, this is a monumental, pivotal point.
Yeah.
This is the season finale. We have been at this like 10 months.
Yeah.
This is episode 25. It's 1/4 right? We are doing it. We've committed to this thing for nearly a year.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. Season 2 will come when it comes, but it will come.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to end the season with, introductory of a concept. And also, we're just going to like chop it up, like some recap.
I was going to say recap's the word.
Totally. Recap. Yeah. We're going to talk about the journey, the 24 episodes that preceded this.
Yeah.
And, I'm excited as easy.
I think maybe it's been a while, but we should start with big wins.
Wins.
Got any big win, or do you pick one of your big wins?
Okay. One of my big wins.
Yeah.
Is I'm fairly close to becoming a homeowner.
Nice.
For the first time.
Let's
just pick that one.
That's like having a baby. That's just a big deal.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, huge. Well, what does that entail? You guys starting to research or getting down the road of it all?
Yeah, my wife's sister has been in the kind of like real estate field. I believe she's a lender, and her other sister is like an escrow, some other kind of agent. They're both in the field, and they're just running numbers and running our stuff, and
I love that.
Everything pans out. We're already in the house that we are probably gonna buy.
Whoa, well that's cool.
Easy
move.
Yeah.
I love it. Well,
we just move like stuff in the bank and not like actually have to move.
Yeah, physically. I love that. That's perfect. Well, that sounds like a really big win. I was like, in my world, I'm the same. I got a lot of big wins going on right now. Growing a whole human, big win. But
boy, right?
A little boy. It was actually double checked on an ultrasound, and I really appreciate him. He kept his legs crossed the entire time. He refused to uncross them, and so I thought, wow, you're a really cute character already. I dig that.
Modest.
Yeah, very modest. I said very demure, like the whole little TikTok thing. But a really big win for me, which is kind of I don't know, it's a multi-layer big win or whatever, but I joined a homeschool co-op. So instead of just doing homeschool by myself, which I've had a good time with. I joined a group that's a non-for-profit actually here in town called Wild Roots, and they basically just meet outdoors and at parks, and eventually we get to go to Trader Joe's and do an insider at Trader Joe's, which is kind of fun. So it's like on locations of different places, but they meet once a week, and all of the kids, doesn't matter what age they are, so there's even people that have brand new babies and things like that, all the way up to 13 years old. All the kids work together all day long, which is kind of fun because the older kids get to set an example and teach and learn empathy, and the younger kids have people to look up to. And it's kind of a really cool dynamic. But the fun part is, or the big win, is that I'm choosing to not do this alone, that I am choosing to engage in the community and spread my little wings out there and meet new people and just see a different side. Everybody parents different. Everybody teaches different. Some kids have no screen time. Some kids, they use the screen as their main facilitator for their education. Yeah. But on that day, they're all coexisting and collaborating with each other, you know? And so I kind of really dig it just because it's giving me new perspectives, and I'm kind of seeing a lot of cool stuff. And right now, Zyla is really fascinated with the fact that we're going to be dissecting a little owl pellet, which means poop. And it's funny to
owl
pellets. We're going to go and dissect poop, which is a hilarious thing to be doing with a 5-year-old, but it's super cool. She's learning rapidly. We're engaging in a lot of cool things. And I kind of feel like this is something I've wanted to do my whole life. I've always wanted to be a teacher. I decided that I didn't want to actually be a teacher because I was worried I would take children home that were not being taken care of or loved properly. And so I thought it would be a liability for me to fall in love with all these babies. I chose not to take that career path on because I'm quite the empath and very emotionally involved, but I've always wanted to be a teacher. And so now I get to really, I don't know, dive into that. And I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm glad I'm giving myself that opportunity. So
yeah, I think it's great. I think also, I think perhaps I may have met the founders of that particular org at was it Miller, Sylvania?
That's where we yes.
And it was it's very, very interesting because everything you described, I remember having this conversation with this super cool couple.
Yeah.
And they have a daughter.
Yeah.
Right. And they had met me right there, and I was reading one of my 4 Agreement books. I think it was the Voice of Knowledge or something. And I had asked them if I could pull my chair near them because it was in the shade, and my wife, they were kind of like right in the sun, and I was like, no. So I pull my chair back, end up just communicating with them.
Oh, how funny.
Right? And they're like, yeah, we don't really do this, but, and I ended up dog sitting for them so they could go get in the water. And then they were like super comfortable enough to be like, hey, can you just chill here? And they walked down and got ice cream after I convinced them to go get the sherbet that was down there. Right. And really, really good people. And I remember them talking about that whole concept of like outside learning. And it's super cool. I remember both of them. Like I can see them in my mind right now.
It's a really cool group of individuals, but also the thing that I've learned, and I need to look up the word. I don't have the word. I'm going to butcher it. So whatever word I say right now, it's not it. But I think it's called it's like anthroparenting or something. It's something along those lines. But basically the concept is that we as human beings were not created to parent alone, that our kids weren't made to just have one set of parents. And yes, of course they have their biological parents, of course, but they're made to grow with a lot of people within their tribal unit, all working on parenting together so that you're never alone in concepts that you don't fully understand. So the thing that I actually have been researching or getting into is in some other cultures, you are a dad, and so all the kids would acknowledge you as a dad because they wouldn't just say you were B. They would say, oh yeah, that's Papa B, or that's Dad B, and they say your name or whatever, but everybody that's a grandma, they're all everybody's grandma. It's not just like that's so and so's only grandma. This is everybody's grandma.
And
well, then
every saying that we have in America comes from some truth, and usually those truths can be traced back to some tribal.
Right, 100%. Right?
It takes a village.
It takes a village,
right? You know what I mean? And it's so crazy that we're on this. Obviously, we stay on the same kind of wavelength, whether we're in communion with each other or doing our separate things in between shooting these episodes. Because I've been posting a lot about, even though our philosophy, our company, our energy is the pursuit of internal evolution, I always perpetuate that no human being is self-made when it comes to success. No. Regardless of the value that you place on success, right. And it's subjective, right? Success is different for everybody, but it still requires collaboration. Yes. It requires community to really be the persons that we are. Yes. It requires collaboration. Even negative collaboration is still collaboration. Even someone providing you with conflict, they're collaborating with you because during that conflict, you'll learn something about yourself.
Yeah, I was like,
how you deal with conflict.
I make this joke about, because people always hate on, what is his name? Not Steve Jobs, Jeff Bezos. Everyone is always clowning on Jeff Bezos. Amazon this, Amazon that. He's just taking our money. No, you all are giving it to him.
Yeah, everybody in the world has collaborated to make him rich.
You did that. You all participated in making him so rich. And even the people who are like trying not to, try to be the anti, they eventually head on over there and click that button. So
no, absolutely.
Everybody is participating in everybody working and success and all of these different avenues of how creation is really in the midst on earth. Like we all are a participant in this like big wheel of existence, and it's a good thing. Like I believe like you said, it takes a village. I'd rather have more participants be a part of my life in a positive manner than doing things alone and maybe dipping down into the world of feeling like you don't have enough support. So kind of fun to think about. I'm like, the next thing that we really would head to currently is the topic of conversation, if you're interested.
I am kind of interested.
Okay, perfect.
No, I'm just kidding. Well, it's been so much. So one concept, and it comes from my older brother, shout out Saleem. And he had thought about, the psychology of what motivates us to do things. And he had come up with this acronym called FOLLY. FOLLY. And it's essentially the fear of loss leads you. How many of us are motivated by fear?
Yeah.
Right?
I'm only laughing because something just happened.
Well, think about it. We get the job that we don't like, that may make us have ulcers and stress and other kind of health concerns or issues or just whatever the case may be, right? We might be in these jobs because the fear of not being able to take care of our family, pay our bills, right? Or do these things. Sometimes we don't say how we feel to a person about a thing because the fear of losing their respect, or maybe again that job. You don't say how your boss said that thing to you really didn't sit well with you because you don't want to cause that friction, right? And when we're motivated by fear, we eventually start to lose ourselves.
Yeah.
Which is ironic because it's like the fear of loss leads you, right? You have this fear of losing this thing, but in operating through the lens of folly, you're actually losing yourself, which you would think you would fear the most.
Right.
Right? You're running from self in order to cater to a world that doesn't make you feel comfortable or good sometimes because the fear of what this world can take from you.
Yeah. I am laughing quite a bit, of course, because it always does its thing and works its way out. So I've got a little story time. probably about 6 years ago, I went to a palm reader. And I stuck my palms out, and she said, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry." I thought,
put your palms back in your pockets.
Goodness! Like,
here's
what
your money
does
back.
That mean? Like, she was like, "Well," and then she explained to me that I was kind of in for it. That it looked like life was gonna hand me, haha, pun intended, a lot. And that I was going to have to go through some loss, and I was going to have to, really dig into some things that maybe might not be that pleasant, but that it would be okay. And eventually it would all work out. Well, it's been 6 years, and I was at the Olympia Farmers Market here in town, and the palm reader, she came back. And she's been kind of around, but not really around. In the pandemic, she went away for a little while, and she just does in-house stuff. But now she's back and in action downtown at the farmer's market. And I saw her, and I thought, I want to go see her right now. I want to go talk to her. But I had my little girl with me, and I just was kind of worried, or maybe had some fear. And so I said, nah, I'm not going to do it. Never mind. And I left the market. And there were a couple things at the market I wanted, and I didn't buy them because I was hesitating on if I should or if I shouldn't, even though in my stomach I knew that I wanted it. And so I went home. And then I laid down, and I thought, you know what? I'm going back. So I left my little girl at home. I went back to the palm reader, and I put out my palms. And like I said, it's been a while, and all the stuff that she said would happen totally happened. And I got through it, and I'm okay now, and I'm doing even better because of it all. So it's all lessons learned. But here are my hands now. And the way that a palm reader works is your hands are a reflection of what's currently going on. So you can actually change the way that your hands are spread out, that there's certain lines that'll go together or spread apart, and all sorts of different things can occur in your hands. It's not like a definitive, it's your hands forever and ever and ever, amen. And she told me that I am a writer, but I have writer's block, which is not a shock. And that I am super creative, but I compare myself.
I'm going to stop you right there.
Yeah.
Just so you
Not
know,
pre-planned.
because here's the thing. You hear these things, you diehard fans, which I love you so much. I appreciate your following and your interest in what we do here. But I have receipts. I have asked this woman so many times to
write.
Start writing. Because we have some things in the works.
To write.
Some books.
Yeah.
Some curriculums that we've outlined, and somebody's job is to write them.
To write.
And so to have a palm reader
tell me to write.
Tell her you're a writer with writer's block is like
it's hilarious. It's the way the universe works. It's
great.
And the other portion of it is like I have a plethora of books. I got children's books in my brain. I've got books about life. I've got books about all these things, and I just haven't done it. And she said that basically that comparatively, I look at other people and I see them being creative and doing their thing. And I just kind of always like, oh yeah, well, they're creative and that's great. Let them do it. And I don't really dive into this awesome, creative, spiritual, universal connection that I have. And that and you can see in my fingers and all that stuff, that I am leading my whole show with fear.
What in the folly thoughts?
What in the folly? I know.
Well, think about it.
It's hilarious.
We all do this on some level, right?
Fear,
because
protection.
The fear of loss could be the fear of losing that thing you thought you were good at, right? So in theory, you're holding on to this. This is a grand idea, right? The potential of it is so grand and so great.
Yeah.
I could write this book, and I could put this book out, and it could be so great. But the fear of losing that dream, because maybe you write the book and it's not so great.
Right.
And it doesn't do as well as you thought.
Yeah.
And like our podcast, right?
Yeah.
In the beginning, it was like, should we keep doing this? It's like the fear of not getting a lot of views or not gaining traction and still doing it. Doing it when we decided to do it for ourselves, the fear goes away.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have that fear of like, if I put myself out there, I'm going to lose respect for myself, or it's such a good concept and such a good way to look at how we navigate our lives, like, and why we don't do things that we want to do.
Right.
We don't do things that we have talent for.
Yes, 100%.
And desire for, but maybe someone else tells you, it's not going to work. You're just going to waste your time. You're going to waste your money. And they make you feel bad about trying to like pursue a dream. But what are they really doing is they're feeding the fuel of that self-doubt.
Mm-hmm.
They're adding to that negative self-talk that you already have, and they're validating that voice that could be very, very, very wrong.
Right, 100%. So the cool part about this is the palm reader also gave me a little clue or a little ticket of what to do next. Where do I go from here, right? So fear is what's leading.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, kind of actually, she kept saying, and I'm not trying to like downplay anybody else. Everybody else is wonderful and beautiful, but she kept being like, you are different. You are very special. Like your lines, you are magic. You know spirit. You know how to connect. You know how to do this stuff. She's like, I have been working on it. Like a lot of people don't have that. So
Mm-hmm.
why don't you go ahead and be excited about the fact that you have this, first of all. But the only thing that is the difference between leading with fear and not is not. so she was like, it's just a thought. It's just a mindset. It's a frame of direction. So if you just say to yourself, I can do that. I'm going to let myself do that. This is something I want to do and I'm allowing to happen. Like it just takes a little bit of a pivot to stop living in the fear, being the dictator or the worry or the anxiety, and kind of caving into the fact that everything's going to work out like it's going to work out. And the main ticket, and I talked to her a little bit about this theory, and I've talked about it, I think, before on the podcast, but it's not just about thinking about the concepts. It's about actually believing them.
Oh.
It is. It's the believing in me part.
Believe in me.
That's the ticket. So I call it the Peter Pan theory. And I'm pretty sure I'm the only one that came up with this, but it's just my observation. I call it the Peter Pan theory. But basically, Peter Pan, he sits with the kids and he tells them that they can fly. Okay. And they're like, nah, I can't. In thought and in theory, they can't fly. And so they can't fly. They do not get up. Their bodies do not lift off the ground. But then he tells them, think of a wonderful thing and it'll give you wings. Okay? Because if they actually think about something that was wonderful, that was uplifting, they can remember what it was like to believe in something that lifted them up. And when they thought of the wonderful thing that would get them wings, which was the belief, boom, they were up in the air.
Happy Gilmore did it too.
Okay, I love it.
The happy thoughts.
Yes, the happy thoughts, right. But it was about the actual belief. He had that concept and those things going on in his head. He joked about it, but it wasn't until he was like, oh, ha, I believe that poof, it happened.
Yeah.
So it really is a matter of, if you want to believe that worry and stress and anxiety and fear are what is going to regulate you to get to your dreams, you can continue to believe that.
Well, it's about safety too, right? So folly could also mean the fear of losing your safety.
Yeah.
The fear of losing being comfortable,
mm-hmm.
right? Whether it's relationship or work or just taking that next step. It's about embracing what could be if you just tried.
Right.
That's it. And a lot of times our fear is misplaced, and in our imaginations it's way bigger.
Huge.
It's way bigger.
Fear monster.
Right? The fear of loss of the comfort of a relationship,
mm-hmm.
where you don't say the things that you dislike for fear of the potential recipient of that information maybe getting confrontational, or maybe the ending of the relationship that you don't want to leave.
100%. The reason that I have a book called The Book, okay, and The Book is something I wanted to write about my life and the things I've experienced. And the top thing that I've said probably for over 20 years, maybe more, is that I'm not writing that book, I promise you, until both of my parents are gone. I'm not writing that book until both my parents are gone. And guess what? Both my parents are gone, and I did not write that book. The majority of the reason being is I did not want to hurt them. I did not want to re-injure them. I did not want to make them feel bad for the things that they were doing their best at by telling my truth of how I experienced what they were doing at their best.
Yeah, so that would be what? The fear of the loss of their view of you.
Sure, or right? Even the relationship, to hurt the relationship. Like, why it wasn't worth it to me in my frame of mind to get my voice out there because I could hurt them. Now, there are a lot of people in my life that could still be hurt by the word, but I don't have a fear of hurting them like I do my parents. You know, my parents to me were at a different value level to where that fear was something I was willing to completely honor for whatever reason. And now I have very little fear left over. The other thing is, if you're going to write a book and you're afraid to write a book, or you're afraid to ever tell your truth, and I talked about this in a parenting class because we talked actually about what our books would be about if we wrote books, and everybody had a book. Everybody was ready with the book. And they all were like, they would write an autobiography. They would write their true life, their history or whatever. But I finally found the like curve around is you just have to write realistic fiction. So you just change Sally's name to Susan, and you just make a different character. You can still
we'll name Frank Folly.
Yep, Frank is named Folly.
Mr. Folly.
You can still tell the story. You just have to kind of pivot a little bit in how you do it. Yeah. But your truth is valuable, and your truth is something that could then validate somebody else's experience in ways you could never know. So
and in the pursuit of internal evolution, we're always writing our story.
Always.
Every day could be a completely different chapter than yesterday. It's really entirely up to you.
Yeah.
You're the authority. You're the author. Day one or one day.
Right.
Joshua Smith and Jordan Davis had put it as the first page of their Keep Effing Going book. So just understanding that it's really about what you choose to do, right? Fear can be weaponized against you.
Oh, yeah.
Fear can motivate you to do certain things, and fear can be good in that sense.
Right.
But when fear is crippling you, or fear is holding you back from living your truest, authentic self, when fear is keeping you from that internal evolution to step into those butterfly wings, right? It's time to challenge yourself to step outside of your comfort bubble, to do the things that may feel uncomfortable at first.
Right.
But then when you realize your fear was not as fearful as it felt or sounded in your mind in the movie you played in your head, when you actually go through some of the things that are your worst fears, in my personal experience, you know, I feared a couple different things throughout my life more than others. And then unfortunately, I experienced those things.
Mm-hmm.
I survived those things. And then I realized, man, I spent a lot of energy avoiding that particular thing when A, it wasn't as nearly as bad as I imagined it. And B, I never had control over it in the first place.
Right. 100%. I think another concept to think about too, and it was from the palm reader. She gave it to me, of course, little gem. But who are you lying to? So when you're sitting there and you're living in fear land and you're making up your fear story and you're creating all these fictitious things about what's stopping you and all, who are you talking to? Or you're talking to yourself. So essentially you're doing yourself a disservice by sitting in fear and creating this monstrosity of a fear monster that is keeping you from the next step. And so you got to kind of have these like internal evolution conversations with
Mm.
self, and you have to really say, like, what do you really want to tell yourself? Like Louise Hay, she's one of the like the leaders. I've talked about her a few times here, but like she had a in the second grade, a teacher went up to her and told her she couldn't dance because she was like long and lengthy and bony and stuff. And so they were like, you can't be a dancer. And she decided in the second grade that she was not ever going to be a dancer because that lady told her something. She said, I agree, in her little second grade brain. And she created this story of her not ever being a dancer.
Mm.
And I believe she was like 92 years old and she finally decided to take up ballroom dancing because that's a lie. That's a lie. That's something somebody told her that she agreed to on accident and then developed lots of fear around. And then she let fear stop her from being a dancer for the majority of her life. But it was a lie.
Think about the fear of the loss of your investment.
Yeah.
When you invest in an identity,
right.
And then you have to challenge that all of that invested energy, years of believing a narrative, years of investing in and adding and building on this the foundation of this fraudulent identity and not being comfortable with this identity, and then realizing that in order to challenge that, you have to lose something that you've invested so much energy in and currency. And so challenge yourself, like ask yourself if you're okay with the narrative that you
Right.
tell others about yourself.
Yeah.
Are you okay with the projected image of self out to the world? Is that really how you are inside?
Right.
Do you feel comfortable in your own skin? Do you feel good about the values that you voice? Are you comfortable challenging those values and making sure they're actually your values?
Right.
Right? Because when we get so attached to something, sometimes people get presented with a truth that contradicts their very identity, and then they double down.
Yeah.
Because the fear of losing that identity could be so gripping that that will lead them down an angry,
Yeah.
resentful type of existence. But what's really going on is they've already accepted the fact that the identity they lived with and the investment they made is not conducive to their spirit.
Right.
It doesn't align with who they are. And when someone externally brings that to them, they're just mad at themselves. They're just showing you what you're seeing as the result of that internal chaotic struggle and that war within. And you might see them a few years later and they've made that transition into that person that they wanted to be, and they let go of that identity. But holding on to an identity, I can tell you from my personal experience, it was a long time before I was willing to stop caring about the bee from the streets, the bee that everybody painted this picture of, this image that I had to be. And it was the fear of losing that for a long time that perpetuated my continuous judicial entanglements, right? Having the courage to challenge that and step outside of that has actually created all of this.
Right.
None of this would be in existence. None of the community that I am in community with, none of the people in my corner would even exist, at least for me. They wouldn't be in part of my world that I know about, right? The veil got lifted and I'm unable to put it back on, and I don't want to.
Right.
Right. And so having experienced that and realizing that letting that go actually didn't hurt.
Right.
It actually wasn't.
It's not that
It
scary.
wasn't
after
real.
all.
It wasn't something that I should have feared. I should have feared being in that space because of where it could lead me and where it was leading me mentally, spiritually, and even physically. You know, the incarceral stage doesn't just exist in the form of bars and chains and
No.
cuffs. It starts internally.
It
And it starts at a very young age in a lot of cases.
I was just going to say, so one thing that we should all just take some time to digest or to sit down and really think about, give yourself some credit, is what happens when you're born and you come into the world, and your parents, of course, are doing their best, but oftentimes from day one, it's because I said so. Because I said so, that's why. You're going to listen to me because I said so. So you hear that over and over again, and you hear this authoritarian voice come through that basically says, whatever I'm told is what I should believe. And then you're 5 years old. You're a little person. And I deal with this right now with my little girl. I watch my mouth. I have to watch my mouth, and I have to ask more questions than me spitting out telling her what to do. Because she right now is in a mindset of making agreements for the rest of her days. And if I'm forcing agreements onto her, like people are, when you're told to go to school and you head into kindergarten, you're told that that lady, that teacher or gentleman, he's your teacher. Whatever he tells you, you need to listen to him. You need to agree, essentially. And you're told by your parents, who you've now made these agreements with, that you're like, that's the law. I'm going to go now to my teacher and I'm going to make agreements with that kindergarten teacher. That kindergarten teacher could be 25 years old, not even have his frontal lobe all the way developed. You do not know what kind of agreements that teacher might be making. And so, like, if we were trained appropriately in our lifetime, I've told Zai this, and she's feisty about it, which I love. But like, somebody might come at her with something and she'll be like, I don't agree. And she's not going to be like straight up in their face about it, but she'll even come to me and she'll be like, Mom, I do not agree with that. That is not,
I love that.
That is not the truth. That is not my truth. And I will say, you know what, dude? I totally agree with you. You are correct. Just because that person was older, just because that person was bigger than you, it doesn't mean that they're right. So we have accidentally been trained at a very young age to operate on all these agreements that are a bunch of hooey. It is an absolute crapshoot. So you have to sit with yourself. And what I like to do is I like to take a picture of me when I was 5 years old, right before I think I made a lot of agreements that were none of my business. And I like to look at her and say, you know what? What were you up to, man? What were you really about before everybody told you some things about you that you didn't really truly agree with, that you started to agree with on accident? And that little girl she's really sweet. She's cool. She's magical. She's fun. She's a writer. She is. She's a writer. She was a writer then, even though she didn't have.
Can't wait to meet her.
Right. Yeah. Even though she didn't have perfect everything, perfect spelling, perfect penmanship, all that stuff, even though she didn't have all the words just yet, she was born to be something really beautiful and amazing, and just got kind of hopped up on some agreements that were none of her business, some fear and anxiety that was really none of her business. And now, in the same right, we should then look at that concept, sit with yourself, sit with the agreements that you've made with yourself on accident because of the influence of others, and decide, what do you not agree to anymore? And then, as you start to evaluate that, be the example in the next generation's life. Be the example that shows them, you know what? Somebody said this to me, but I now am not going to believe that. Because Louise Hay became a ballroom dancer and decided she'd change her handwriting when she was 92 years old, there are times when I'm like, maybe I could too. Maybe there's something I don't agree with too. And we get to lead by example of transforming these folly agreements into being a productive help.
Think about it like this. Fear not losing your agreements, but look forward to new agreements that you can make that will increase the quality of your life, of your well-being. Make agreements now with intention and knowledge and the understanding of an adult with lived experience who is capable of coming to your own conclusions. I said this before, right? Who is the first author? So when people say, oh, I've read this book and I've read that book and I've read this, just because you read a book doesn't mean you can't write one and reach those same conclusions.
Right.
You know, I had a friend during my incarceral years, and he was like, I'm working on this book, and he spent a lot of time on it, and I asked him about it, and I, at that time, was writing one as well. And he had said to me, I'm gathering all these quotes from all these great people and this and that, all these authorities. And I was like, wouldn't you like to be the authority on what you're writing? Wouldn't you
Right.
like to be your own authority? You want a quote from me? Because if you're creating a book that is based around a whole bunch of what other people said, and then citing them as the authority on that, like, I got some pretty cool thoughts too. You can quote me if you want, And he looked at me like, and he basically, like, I seen it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And the fear of losing the investment of what he had created so much was the first thing that surfaced. And I literally watched him battle with himself because of our friendship at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And this was kind of a hot-headed person,
yeah,
who took any type of criticism or confrontation usually led to fisticuffs. Just going to put it out there.
Mm-hmm.
And
I like that.
so I watched him decide.
I don't like that. But
I watched the mental battle. I watched him decide
visual
not to respond to me in that way.
Not to go from fisticuffs.
And then later, weeks, maybe a month, it's a long time ago, right? He actually came and was like, man, I've really been sitting on like what you had said. He's like, I was hella hot at first, homie. Like, I thought you was shitting on me. And I'm just like, I just asked you a genuine question. Like, you're so excited about what other people said in books, but like, you're hella dope. You're smart. Right. You're creative.
You have it too.
You can be an authority that somebody else quotes. You have it in you. You don't need to quote other people to validate your thoughts. We are all individually capable of coming up with the same solutions, the same answers, the same theories as other people before us. Right. We all have that capability. Yeah. Right? And so pursuing your own internal evolution is just about giving yourself the authority to make new agreements whenever you want. Yeah. But you have to challenge the ones you have. You have to not have the fear of losing part of yourself and look at it through the lens of gaining more, a better version of yourself.
I'm kind of laughing again because I love how the universe is always like doing its little thing. But the guy that I just gave one clue, but the person that wrote the quote that we started out this episode with, I went to go look him up and find out more about him, and he didn't have a Wikipedia. And I was like, what?
No, what? No,
Wikipedia! How am I going to learn about you? And I thought, wait, he's just a regular, he's like us, just a regular person who has a lot of really good quotes. And he is that quotable human being. He might not even have his Wikipedia right now, but that doesn't matter. There's still tons of information on him, and he's still valid. And I picked his quote out of all the other quotes that I was reading, so he must be up to something.
We're already there. Listen, this is the season finale. We're gonna go into some older episodes. We're gonna talk about some of our favorite moments from the season so far. So, who is this quote? Because I'm curious now. You get to talking about him.
His name is Craig D. Lounsborough, and he's actually a counselor. And go figure, he's a counselor with lived experience who then got into the field and decided to try every different avenue. And he's got a lot of history. He's been a counselor for 30 years. And he's dabbled in everything and all different types of therapy and all different types of settings of therapy. And he just essentially has been diving deep into life to try to figure out his pursuit of internal evolution. And in the meantime, is trying to help other people because he has lived experience, which is super hilarious because that's kind of what you and I seem to like to do. Some other quotes from him are, the most crucial time in any battle is not when I'm fatigued. It's when I no longer care. Any new beginning is forged from the shards of the past, not from the abandonment of the past. Starting over is an acceptance of past we can't change. An unrelenting conviction that the future can be different, and the stubborn wisdom to use the past to make the future what the past was not. I know! In the oddity, or maybe the miracle of life, the roots of something new frequently lie in the decaying husks of something old. When I'm at the bottom looking up, the main question may not be, how do I get out of this hole? In reality, the main question might be, how do I get rid of the shovel that I used to dig it?
Hey,
I just love
this
him.
boy got bars. Y'all better look him up.
I know.
Give him his flowers.
Totally get him a Wikipedia, dang it. But either way, the point is that he is quotable. That's really interesting stuff, you know? And he doesn't have to have a Wikipedia to be validated. Like,
you know who else is quotable?
Us.
You. When you write that book.
Totally. We got this. You know who else is also quotable? We got some friends over here. Yeah, Joshua Smith and Jordan Davis, thank you so much for Keep Effing Going. This book is really great, and we are on day 25.
Episode 20. Man, I'm just excited about this. Like, when we started this, we didn't know where it was going to go, how long we were going to do it. 10 was like, hey, we'll do 10.
We even did
like
that first little mini season.
Yeah, so if you aren't hip in the playlist, if you go to our actual YouTube channel,
which I want to watch,
there's quite a few different playlistings. One of those is pilot episodes.
Yeah.
So it's the very first, I think, 10.
I bet it's really cute to see.
That we did, and we had like this digital background of like a cartoon
pie
shop because we were really leaning into the fresh. Oh, I see what you did there. We're really leaning into the pie philosophy, the pursue internal evolution, the PIE. The pie is the anecdote to the T, not the T, the pie.
Right.
First, are you going to do the first?
I was going to say stay focused is what it says. B, do you want to read on?
All right, I'll read stay focused. You read action item.
Okay.
Time is precious, and there's no time to waste on things that don't matter. You got to stay focused on what's important and keep grinding until you reach your goal. Don't let distractions or setbacks get in the way. Stay locked in and keep pushing forward. Because of the name of this book, I feel like they should have put keep effing going. Josh, I caught you.
Action item. Make a to-do list for today or this week, starting with the most important task.
Write that book.
Yeah, right? A couple of them. Focus on completing the task before moving on to the next one. Stay disciplined and stay focused. And so it's kind of fun because this wraps right into everything that we talked about in this episode today. You can stay focused on the folly. You can stay focused on fear and all of that if you want to, but you also stay focused on the goals that you actually want to itemize on that list. The top thing on your list shouldn't be fear. Top thing on your list should be your truth, what you actually want to accomplish here on earth, and you should give yourself that opportunity. Stay focused and grind on just that rather than grinding in on the fear.
So what I just heard you say is the weapon against folly living is facts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Facts and new agreements.
Yeah, right. What is your truth? Like, and don't let anything else. It says, don't let distractions get in your way. So like you could literally think of that fear and anxiety as it's just a distraction. It's just something to keep you busy, but it's not necessarily the ruler of all.
Let's just do some random clips, right?
Okay.
This was official season 1, episode 1, right? What drives us? We started a journey on a whim, and we decided our day 1 was actually at the end of last year. Mm-hmm. And we were going to come into this year like, we're going to do all these things with this, and we're going to perfect it first, and we're going to make sure all the pieces are together, and then we're going to go. And so we dropped our intro pilot. That thing had a few hundred views right away, and we had people commenting, we want more. Hi, what is this concept? And so we just started recording episodes. We didn't think about perfectionism. We didn't think about sometimes the green screen didn't work out in the edits. You could see little glitches and blurs coming through. But
it was cute.
The mission is the content.
Yeah.
It's about what can we do to help ourselves help ourselves. How are we achieving greatness within our own bodies and our own space and our own spiritual well-being. High Talk is about pursuing internal evolution. It's about
I know, it's perfect.
Episode 1.
It was fun. Yeah.
Comments?
Accurate. It's accurate. Like I just think about it, so interesting because of I think the word perfectionism goes right into the hand of folly, the hand of fear. Like we're always thinking, and even me, like I could use the book. So like what if I wrote a book and every word wasn't perfect? You just write another book, Dodo. It's not that big of a damn deal. Like, there's a lot of different things that perfectionism, I think, stops us from. And I think everybody has a little bit of that. Everybody is always questioning whether or not it's the perfect idea, the perfect job, the perfect relationship. Right now, I keep cracking up at how many people are like talking about the perfect timing about a baby and what's perfect. And I'm like, I don't know if you can plan as much perfection into the timing of having a child as you practically think you can. Like,
okay, when it comes, it's perfect.
That's perfect. That's what perfect is. You don't get to like as much as you think you do. Like, perfection is existence. Like, perfection is taking life on life's terms and being okay with it and doing a really good job at whatever's on your table.
For real. What about let's see. We'll just pick an episode. We're obviously not going to do 24 episode clips as we have limited time. Pick a number.
I was gonna say 8, but then I wanted to say 16, so I don't know.
I guess we'll randomly we'll go with 16.
Okay.
Just to give you.
And when we got into our real big episodes, and then again, and it's been the coolest ride ever, and I absolutely.
You remember episode 8?
Sitting in this seat
Anger
next to my friend.
Toxic positivity.
Yes, toxic positivity.
Into, the attitude of gratitude, right? So, big win time. What's a big win? And while we're sharing ours, think about yours. And I like to think in terms of the last 7 days, so that you can really show that gratitude with something that's relevant, that's recent.
Yeah.
So what's your big win?
I knew you were going to put me on the spot first. So I actually have a lot of different points of reference to my big win. I said that today. Some of them were extravagant and truly difficult. Some of them were surprising. Things that I got thrown for a loop, and I was laughing and giggling about it. But what I'm so proud of myself, because I have become a witness of the experiences that are happening in front of me. I just said that right before I said that too. Right? So that's extra good, but it's true. I love that part of life right now. I love being a witness to the experience, and that is taking life on life's terms, and you have a hell of a lot more fun. You have so much more fun being here on Earth if you are not guiding yourself with fear of controlling everything into being perfect. You're just sitting around and being a witness. It's a lot of fun. You can sit back, watch the show.
And we did a whole episode, I think, in the pilots about the witness.
The witness. Yeah, it's
fun. That was a whole episode. So I'm telling you, if you're not caught up to Pi Talk yet, if it hasn't made its way into your feeds or somebody hasn't sent you the link or whatever,
get in it.
Check it out. This is just pure, authentic, soul sharing, personal growth. And for those of you that don't know, we actually hold some credentials in this space too.
Yeah,
we're both certified peer counselors, certified anger management specialists, recovery coaches. I am also a DBHR certified approved trainer. So I do the trainings to help develop certified peer specialists and recovery coaches. And actually, I got to train in the class that you took.
Absolutely. It was my favorite. I loved it.
It was great.
The other thing that I will say is, all certificates aside, there's one that's like, I keep it, it's called like, it's a hypothetical certificate. But B and I both have our PhD from the School of Hard Knocks. And so, like,
yes,
we both went to a real interesting college. And it was great. We learned a lot, and we have a lot to offer, I think, just because of our lived experience. I think that we both have really fun stories. If you haven't caught up on some of it, check out the episodes, because you'll be able to learn quite a bit about us. That's just fun. It's fun to hear. You look at us both and you think we have nothing in common sometimes, and then you find out we have everything in common sometimes, and that our stories really are complex. And it just makes me think that everybody out there has got the same thing sort of going. I think we all kind of have been in the School of Hard Knocks, and we get to be proud of where we're at today. We get to share and celebrate. You know, we got our PhDs.
One of my favorite episodes, Puppets and Parables.
That's one of my favorites too. I use it all the time.
Where are we at?
Who holds your strings?
It's just random.
There was talk of her perhaps being the one that took her own life. And I didn't know how to sit with this stuff, and I was having kind of a manic episode, and I was having a panic attack, and I did not know how to really calm down my brain, because the things that I was learning were just extraordinarily traumatizing. And I called a mental health hotline. And I was by myself, and I just didn't know really what to do. And they worked me through a meditation that was simply identifying my 5 senses. And I had never done that before. I had never done all 5. I had worked through other sense evaluations, but I'd never thought, like, what am I tasting in my mouth right now? And like, when you're in a headspace that's really unhealthy and is like a manic mindset, think about what that does when you're like, what do I taste in my mouth? And like, you could be like your breath. I mean, that's a pretty simple thing. But like, I have chai tea in here. So like, I am tasting chai tea, but like, I'm tasting cardamom, I'm tasting clove, I'm tasting cinnamon, I'm tasting, I have oat milk creamer in there. I'm tasting the oat. I can actually see the oat being ground up and being turned into that.
That's that pregnant brain.
And like, even just talking about this little tiny thing, I now am thinking about so many other things than what I was just thinking about a whole 5 seconds ago.
Yeah, 5 seconds ago. Now she's thinking about
shout
food.
out that I was gonna make that you just reminded me of.
Perfect.
Is so my supervisor Bree stumbled upon something very interesting about sinus infection.
Oh.
Right, and
you remember
due
this?
to certain sinus infection, it caused her to smell septic, like poop. For no reason.
Bumski.
And she was the only person in the house.
Right. Do you know what's super...
Bumski.
Right, bumskis,
you
right.
and your words, your flesh sack. Boopity boop.
What's extra funny about that right now, too, and of course we'll go full circle here, but I was talking about my mom and about her and her possibly taking her own life and all that stuff, and time when I was manic, and like that was probably about a year ago to like this current time right now. And I just recently got a whole nother brew of information about the day that it happened and all the stuff. And I now operate in the existence of that meditation, like naturally. So anytime something comes across my board, doesn't matter what it is, could be really devastating, could be hardcore, could be scary, could be whatever.
You start tasting poop?
I don't, yeah, basically. But I sit there and I do that. I just am like, how do I feel right now? Like, instead of being like, about whatever the topic is, it's, where am I sitting right now? What do I feel like? What does my body feel like? What am I thinking? What's coming across my cheek? Do I feel anything on my skin? Like, what is actually happening in this moment, this present moment of the experience of hearing whatever news it is. And you don't re-traumatize yourself.
Yeah.
It's lovely. It's lovely. But it took a little practice, and now look, here I am.
So, Puppets and Parables, episode 14 on the Pie Talk channel. Definitely should check it out. Into Me I See, it was actually episode 24.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it was like a month ago. It's been a while since we've been in the bakery. And that whole concept is just, I don't know about Priscilla, but I do occasionally just listen to our podcasts, especially our prior ones. Sometimes I like listening without watching. So there's Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Yeah. I make sure to upload them into those spaces so that you can listen in your car while you're commuting. But this journey has literally evolved me internally on so many levels. Yeah. I maintain such a calm demeanor about the different things that life throws my way.
Right.
I no longer allow folly to reside in my decision-making process. Right. And ever since my older brother, shout out Saleem, introduced that simple acronym and the concept behind it, it's always with me now. And so right. I'd make jokes, like my self-talk sometimes is I get to thinking about something or not doing something, then it's like, the folly.
Yeah, what the folly? I love that. What the folly?
What the folly, right? I'm not doing that. I don't agree with that, right? Zyla,
yeah.
I don't agree with that.
I don't agree with that.
That's not my agreement. That's not my truth.
I love it.
You know, understanding that the best person that you could possibly grow a relationship with is yourself, also allows you to be receptive to growing relationships with others. Because when you live in your authentic self, when you're good with you and you're able to emotionally regulate and ask the hard questions to yourself, then the experience you bring to the space for somebody else, you're modeling that they can be that too.
Right.
You give them that comfort. You become a safe space.
Freedom.
You become a walking, safe space of freedom and values and virtue. And it just really, really, I don't know. It's just freeing.
It's free. It's freedom. It actually is. It's freedom to be yourself, freedom to operate on life. Like I said, on life terms, you know, within this whole experience, no matter what, we're not going to get to control all the ups and downs. We're not going to get to control every single variable to make it perfect. We don't get to operate like that, but we do get to release ourselves and be free. We do get to allow ourselves any opportunity that could be possibly out there that we might not even know about just yet, by just being okay with being here and allowing the pursuit of internal evolution to just like really happen, and just let it go and be free to explore the insides and feel your best. It's 444 right now, which is even more of a good encouragement for us to.
I just made that post.
Yeah.
On Facebook.
To be supported by everything. Yeah. We're supported by the universe. We're supported by our angels. We've got everything that we need. And it's just a matter of allowing it to happen.
I think the post said, if you come for me, just know my angels are undefeated.
Not undefeated. I know they got a great shot. Boom, boom, boom. They're really up there. I know mine too. I used to think that when mine were tired, they'd like tap out and send in another batch of good ones. So I got reinforcement even. Okay, I made them tired. And they still been there. They never give up. They're always there. Always coming back.
Christopher Michael Noblock, man. Shout out. Shout out to my bro. Definitely one of my angels.
I love that.
And in life, he was undefeated until the end, right?
Yeah.
And so
I got some good ones on the other side too. We all do. We got some good ones.
You know, that's just my main one. There's a few, you know, that I know are watching over your baby.
Yeah. Who is healthy, by the way.
This healthy baby boy growing in you.
All the way healthy. So I love that.
And how's that been? How's the pregnancy been for you?
Really cool because, and I mean, sometimes it's like taboo. You're not supposed to talk about it or whatever, but it's been the number one thing that I've noticed is like, I'm growing a boy. I'm growing testosterone. I am growing it's not female energy. I can feel that fiercely. It is fiercely different than what it was with Zyla. I went to go fill up my water jug thing, and I was like, I asked Dylan, I said, what do you think I want to fill this water jug up with right now? And he was like, what? And I was like, milk. Don't even want to drink water. I just want to drink gallons of milk all the time. And I want to eat meat and cheese. And just, I was like, we used to be a pescatarian.
I want to wear war paint.
I do. Now I feel very like raw. And it's crazy how different it was from the experience of growing Zyla. I will also say,
you don't have to say, but have you two come up with the name already?
Yeah, but like,
you don't have to share it because I know how that can be sometimes.
We feel like it is his name. It's his name. I don't know how we're gonna spell it. I don't know what we're gonna do.
You can tell me offline.
But basically, yeah, I think we're probably gonna name him Zion. But it's kind of crazy because Zyla and Zion. But I don't know. Like
Zion and Zyla.
It's a very close. I wonder if they're going to be like, really, you guys had all these words and you could only come up with these two things. But
all of my kids are AW.
Yeah, it just means strength, and it's a really it's a very futuristic, interesting name. I don't know anybody named Zion. It would be with an X. I don't know how else we would go from there. So not like Zion the mountain or Zion like heaven, those forms of it. But yeah, I don't know exactly what that looks like right now all the way, but I know I'm pretty positive that's his name. This is exactly how Zyla happened. I was like, it's her name, but I don't understand. I don't understand what's going on, but it's her name.
Well, I just want to take a moment.
Ethers.
It's nice to meet you, Zion.
Yeah, Zion. Yeah.
And welcome to Pie Talk.
Right, welcome to Pie Talk, little guy. But yeah, I'm really sentimental about him. It's very different. I don't know why. It could be because maybe I don't know if I'll have any more kids. I might just stick to 2. Haven't really decided that out yet. So I'm very sentimental about all of the different processes of this. I will say I am emotionally sober. I've talked about emotional sobriety before. It's not just about being sober off of different things, but it's about actually being emotionally like really in touch and present. And I am super in this right now, and I love it. I love every bit of it. Zyla's umbilical cord was only 8 inches long, and so she didn't get to move a lot because it was so little. So I didn't feel her move that much, but he moves. Holy crap, he moves all the time. It's crazy. He moves all the time. And he actually, and we should document this now because we'll see when he's born what happens, but at 9:30 at night he throws a party every single day at 9:30 at night. So I'm excited to see when he comes out if he is going to 9:30 he's going to be partying.
He's going to keep that schedule.
He will probably keep that schedule.
So it's documented here.
9:30 p.m.
We'll somewhere probably, I'm guessing, in the middle of season 2.
Yep.
We'll maybe bring it up and be like, hey,
what's happening?
Zion throwing parties at 9:30.
Throwing parties at 9:30, whatever that is. So, yeah, it's been super fun. The other cool part of this that's really fun, which I kind of expected to happen, but also is like a really beautiful thing, is Zyla is 5 years old. So she really is creating some really cool formative memories right now. Like these are the things that's like really sticking in her mind. And like when we went to the midwife, she got to put the Doppler there. She got to push in. She said she could feel his bones. You know, like she's really into the science of him. She talks to him. She protects him. Like when we go.
I remember a few of somewhere in this season, you guys were watching a movie, and Zyla counted him as so. There's 4 of us here.
4 of us because of him. Movie. So yeah. her
that was
connection,
in the very beginning, like
totally
right after you admitted you were pregnant.
Yes, her connection to him is like way more real than a lot of people would treat that situation. Like she speaks to him like he is currently here right now sitting next to us. Like, so she has great respect and love for him. When I walk up to a road, she stands in front of us at the like stop sign or whatever, and she puts her hand over my belly. Like she's already in that like I'm protecting him go mode, whatever that is. It's fascinating. Also behavior wise, Like if she does something or says something that maybe isn't the best, she'll be like, oh man, I got to be careful. He's listening. Like she's already on point about that stuff. It's fascinating, man.
She is a fascinating creature.
Dude, she's the coolest. I freaking love her.
is the stuff.
Yes, I actually just recently was like, I'm obsessed with her. She's so freaking cool. I thought she was already cool. I already was obsessed with her, but she just keeps leveling up. She's leveling up. I love every version of her. So right now, coolest version I've seen so far. So anyways, but yeah, thanks for asking.
Of course. I was waiting to ask.
Yeah, it's a fun one. And if anybody else has any questions too about pregnancy or birth, I'm really into that one. I actually am. I think it's really cool and fascinating. And so if anybody has any questions about this stuff, feel free to send it my way always. I'm an open book about those things and love sharing my journey. So
nice. This is it. This is what we do. Season 2 maybe will look a little different. We're probably going to keep this guy, I'm guessing.
I love him.
Shh, quit telling yourself bad things about yourself. Right. That's what that guy is.
That's shut the folly up.
Shut the folly up about negativity about yourself.
Shut the folly.
Raise your voice to uplift yourself. And then others will feel uplifted around you. Hey, if y'all want t-shirts,
it's a big thing.
Get in the DMs. We got Pie Talk Podcast on Facebook. Both of us have access. Mm-hmm. You can message us. If you want to support us, there's a Cash App. Yeah. We do this on our free time, but buy some t-shirts. There's hoodies. You can get your I Believe in Me, Pursue Internal Evolution with the tree.
Yeah. And
there's Pie Talk Podcast t-shirts that actually have the whole logo and the podcast, all that. There's like 3 different versions of the shirts that we've done so far. This is the most recent, the I Believe in Me, Pursue Internal Evolution, and then it says Pursue It 365, which is, in honor of the nonprofit of Pursue It and You Want It, and also the 365 pages of the Keep Effing Going. It's all tied in with each other. This is all community for us. We spend our time doing this because we want to.
Right.
Because we enjoy it.
Yeah, and the top thing that I kind of want to bring up right now, right before we leave, is when I first met B, he showed me a blueprint. And when I read the blueprint, there was one sentence at the very bottom of the blueprint that is the most valuable sentence. And it was valuable to me before I met B. And so when he made it the seal on his deal for his agreements, I thought, there's something up here. There's something really cool. But we are what we agree to. So right now in your own life, please give yourself the honor and the respect to remember that we are what we agree to, and that you get to design and you deserve to manifest and love yourself and create agreements with yourself that make you feel whole and valued, and that you're really unique and special, and that we like who you are just as you are, and that you are exactly who you agree to. So I back you up, and I hope you back yourself up.
Yeah. I believe in you.
Yeah.
I believe in me. I honor whatever it is that you agree about yourself. But like Priscilla said, challenge yourself to make agreements that align with your whole self.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just make agreements because you believe that this is what somebody else thinks you should be or act like, or whatever that case looks like, or society or TikTok or Facebook, whatever it is. Give yourself the authority to be okay making new agreements. Right. Challenge yourself to challenge yourself. And shut the folly up.
Shut the folly
about
up.
Negative talk.
All that's up.
Nothing matters more than what you believe, because what you believe creates your reality. Our internal evolution, but also our internal incarcerations happen because of our beliefs.
Right. Think of a wonderful thing about yourself, and maybe it'll give you some wings.
Think that happy thought. All right, before we head out, let's end the way we end.
Okay.
With some for agreement messages from Don Miguel Rees. He's got these cards. We've always read them. And always do your best.
Okay.
By doing your best over and over, you can master the art of transformation. By doing your best, the habits of misusing your word, taking things personally, And making assumptions will become weaker and less frequent with time.
Love it. Be impeccable with your word. Cultivate faith. To have great faith is to have great power, because your intent, your will, is undivided. When your word isn't dissipated by doubt, power of your word becomes even stronger.
Don't take anything personally. When you refuse to take things personally, you avoid many upsets in your life. Your feelings of anger, jealousy, and even your sadness will simply disappear if you don't take things personally.
The last card here says, don't make assumptions. Be yourself around others. Dun, dun, dun. The biggest assumption that humans make is that everyone sees life the way we do. We assume that others think the way we think, feel the way we feel, judge the way we judge, and abuse the way we abuse. We are afraid to be ourselves around others because we think others will judge us, victimize us, abuse us, and blame us as we do ourselves. Be kind. I love it.
So we cannot say for sure when season 2 will start, only that it will.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, you can follow either of us, Priscilla Zhao, Willis, or my Coach B Facebook page. I also have a Coach B 360 TikTok page. I'll do little inspirational messages and pop in, and we'll keep the pie moving.
Love it.
But we want to give time, catch up on the season, watch all 25 episodes, and there's 10 bonus episodes that we did first, right? Check it all out. Watch everything that we have going on the channel, and stay tuned, because you fans that watch, that ring the bell, that like, subscribe, and share, you will be notified when season 2 starts. And it's been an honor. We really, really, really appreciate all the support over this last year. And we really do hope, I keep saying we, I don't want to speak for you. I just know what I know.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm going to say, I really want the best versions for you, of you.
100%.
I hope that you're able to achieve greatness in your own way.
Agree.
Whatever you agree is valuable to you, that you have an abundance of it, and that you're able to feel comfortable in your own skin and do the things that bring you joy in life. And that is season 1 done. Pie Talk, 25 episodes. Coach B.
Priscilla Z. Thank you so much. We appreciate you all the way. Take care.
Hey.